What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, here to bring you guys teams for the Film Red Treasure Map versus Chopper, and this video is mainly geared towards more accessible teams. So this is hypothetically if you didn't do any pulls on the Luffy Sugo Fest. That's what we're ideally building teams for in today's video. So before we actually jump into the teams, let's just talk about the brand new Chopper character, because he actually looks very good. The only thing about this Chopper that I don't like is the fact that his stage 3 special is 20 turn cooldown. That is ridiculous, but for what it does, I mean, it's a good special, but 20 turns? A bit ridiculous. Either way, he's a Psi Fighter free spirit, good class and type combination, captain ability, 3.5 times attack, 1.2 health, and then reducing burn by 2 turns. A very unique captain ability. Not the best for free to play, 3.5 isn't amazing, but it's usable in like mini bosses for other treasure maps and stuff like that. His special is multi-stage. You got stage 1, which does a bit of damage, reducing burn and special bind by 4, and then a 15% psi resistance down to all enemies, and if you're below 50% health, you heal up to 51% of your crew's maximum health. Then the stage above that, which is 13 turns, which is the one that most people will probably use, allows you to do a bit more damage, burn and special bind by 5, 20% resistance down this time, and then if you're below 50% health, you heal up to 75% of your crew's max health, and then the 20 turn one, which is ridiculous with slightly more damage, burn and special bind removal by 7, and a 30% resistance down to all enemies, and then completely healing your crew's health. A very good special, but as I said, stage 3 is a bit ridiculous at that high cooldown. He resists special bind by 10 turns, which is great, a little bit of HP and recovery boost, and unfortunately does not have any good effects there. But let's have a look at his rumble stuff. Recovery and speed level 5 to Psi, and then 35 CT, recovery up level 5, and then a 2.4 heal. Yeah, he's pretty bad. I mean, defensive style units are really not super amazing, but not really going to be using him in Rumble. But in terms of regular play, he works very well with the new Luffy that just came out, which is why he's probably built the way that he is. A very, very solid character. So let's start talking about the more accessible team. So the first boss that you'll come up against is Gordon, who is a strength boss, and he gives cooldown to all units. So this is the team that allows you to build essentially whatever you want. And the preemptive here is that there's going to be 5 hits of ship bind applied to your team. Also difficult to hit your perfects, and he changes all of your slots into either unfavorable, block, or bomb, and he also will bind your top row for 6 turns, and also will give you 10 turns of chain coefficient reduction. So the way that I'm looking at, actually, we don't even need this Rayleigh support. I thought it was 6 turns of bind after sockets, but no, it's 6 turns of bind. So after sockets, it goes down to 3. The Luffy and Ace just gets rid of the bind and also provides a 2 times attack boost, and he does give color affinity to Shooter and Free Spirit, which doesn't really matter, but you could use Katakuri, especially if you've got the level limit break. He has the very, very good special ability. And then essentially we're just running like as many quick units as we can. We got Tezora for a chain lock, who's going to be nice. You want to be running some type of chain locker on your crew here. Makes things a lot easier for you. Tezora changes the slots on the top and bottom row into matching as well. He doesn't go through block slots, which is why Katakuri is the captain. Katakuri's special does remove block slots. Alternatively, if you are running a Luffy character, you could have Brulee as one of your supports on that character to remove the block slots naturally. And then the Big Mom and the Smoothie Oven are just completely filler units. There's not really a lot of gimmicks going on in the Gordon fight. Moving on to the second team against Usopp and Yasopp. They are also a strength boss, and they will give cooldown reduction to Dex, Quick, and Int characters. Very, very alarming when you see Dex, Quick, and Int together, because that immediately should signal Legend Shiki. Now, there's also Battle 3, which preemptively will give you 2 hits of Special Reverse. They also ship bind your ship for 10 turns, 5 hits of Paralysis, and 1 turn of Damage Nullification. So if you don't have Sunny-kun, this fight is a lot more difficult. Sunny-kun does deal with the special reverse. He gets rid of the special bind. He gives you a full board of slots. It's very good. In terms of the damage nullification, the free-to-play treasure map Sanji that came out last treasure map, he gets rid of damage nullification, which is perfect. And then you've got the 6+ Shiki. With his special, gives you a full board of slots. Also will give you an orb boost. And he also removes the paralysis. So the Luffy and the Ganfor on the crew that you're seeing here are completely filler units. But the Sunny-kun, Shiki, and Sanji are your most ideal setup. If you don't have Sunny-kun, then I wouldn't really worry about the shipbind ability, but I would try and find some way to get around the special reverse. You will need to get around that special reverse so you can actually use your specials, of course. So that's going to be probably the most annoying gimmick in this particular fight. The third Battle Rush boss is versus Beckman and Lucky Roux, who are a quick boss this time, and the preemptive gives cooldown to Strength, Quick, and Psi characters, and their preemptive will actually change their color, so they will change into essentially anything except for Strength, which is very, very odd. But they also will have a full board of block slots for you. They also will have 5 turns of % damage reduction, and they also will despair you for 8 turns, and they also have an attack down based on your chain multiplier. So you need to find some type of way to make sure that your chain multiplier exceeds 3.0, and also they have resilience. And they do only have a delay immunity. So the most ideal situation is in this circumstance here, you want to be using a friend captain Super Sugo Shanks, because his super type will allow you to give you the ability to change the enemy into a strength type, which is perfect. Although I'm just realizing in this team there is no way to do that, so we're gonna have to change the team up a little bit. So we have changed the team up a little bit. This is probably not as ideal because the page 1 rare recruit actually removes the despair for you, so you don't really need Gordon on the team, but Gordon is going to be very key a little bit later on. But you've also got the Luffy here, who procs the super type of Shanks. He also gives you an attack boost. You've obviously got the local sea monster, which gives you an orb boosting effect. You've got the page 1, which actually gets around the rainbow shield and the despair, which is perfect. And then you've got the Magellan and Hannibal, which gives the poison to the enemy, which allows you to get around the resilience. And then, of course, with the friend captain Shanks changing the enemy into a strength type and then using his special will give you a chain boost, a very good chain boost, and also allowing you to get color affinity. So those are the ways that you would be getting around this fight. This is probably not the most optimal team out there, but if you have your own Shanks, you can definitely make this team very, very easily. And double Shanks is the ideal situation here, because when you activate Shanks' special twice, it actually does remove the % damage reduction for you, which makes it a little bit easier. But if you don't have that, then you will have to resort in using a friend captain Shanks for this fight. Speaking of Shanks, he is the final Battle Rush boss, and he is a strength boss, and he gives cooldown to Free Spirit, Shooter, and Cerebral. And the preemptive gives a special reverse of 4 turns to your captains. He gives you normal attacks only, delay immunity, and there is going to be 6 turns of Threshold and Rainbow Shield, and 7 turns of increased defense. So there is no surprise here that the friend captain that would be using is going to be Ben Beckman and Lucky Roux. Now, if you are doing that, you want to make sure that you have as many barrier penetration characters as possible on your crew, and ensure that you have them completely maxed out to ensure that you have that barrier penetration proccing as often as possible. It's going to be very key to enabling this team to work, because the super class special of Beckman and Lucky Roux will remove 2 turns of all of those negative debuffs, or the buffs that the enemy actually has with those defensive effects, and then every time you hit a perfect, that will actually remove 1 turn of each of those defensive effects. You've obviously got Iron on this crew as well. Iron will help you remove some of those defensive effects as well, and the reason why we're using Zephyr as a sub rather than a captain is because the captains get special reversed, and Zephyr gives you a full board of slots and an attack boost with level limit break, that is. So Zephyr is going to be a really good sub. Otherwise you have to deal with special reverse, and that's really not that fun. Kizaru is an okay captain, but not really amazing. Of course, if you have better shooter characters, you want to be using those in this circumstance here, but not a terrible option, of course. But Ben Beckman Lucky Roux is the ideal unit to use in this quest to make it way easier. Okay, so now we get to the final boss versus Uta. Now, Uta is an int boss, however, we don't know what color the boss is on Battle 2, but we can pretty much assume that it's going to be Strength or int, would be a pretty safe assumption. Battle 1 gives cooldown to Fighter, Free Spirit, and Shooter characters, and on Battle 2, you're inflicted with 7 turns of Bind and 7 turns of Despair. So in this team here, the way that we're getting around the Bind and Despair is by using the free-to-play Uta as actually our captain. Her captain ability is pretty solid. It gives you a 3.5 times attack boost and also a little bit of health, but her special ability is pretty good because she does have double special launch, and she does remove 2 turns of Bind and Despair, so that removes 4 turns with double special, and then with sockets removes the rest of the Bind and Despair for you, which is good. And then on the battle, on Battle 3, the final battle, there is going to be 3 hits of Special Reverse, which is pretty bad. And ideally, if you have the Jinbei, which came out with the Snake Man batch, he's very good here. However, the way that we're getting around it is we have the support of Nami, which attaches to the Luffy, and Luffy resists 1 turn of special reverse, and then Nami reduces his cooldown by 2. If you don't have this Nami in particular, you can use support Brûlée, she will also work. I think you can actually also use the support re-recruit Mistims, that will also work in this case. But what happens is that's going to reduce Luffy's cooldown to max. Luffy reduces everyone's cooldown by 1. Then you'll have the Frankie special, which reduces everyone's cooldown by 2, allowing everyone to be ready. Luffy does switch into the captain spot, which gives you actually a pretty substantial free-to-play captain boost, which is good. In terms of what other debuffs you have to worry about, there's going to be 5 hits of damage threshold on the enemy side of the field. Brook is really good for that because Brook's special will have double special, and he removes 3 turns of threshold, so you can launch his special twice. And remember, this is ideally utilizing the brand new Snake Man Super Sugo Luffy as the friend captain to get through this quest. Now, the Sanji on this team is just a filler unit, but having a really good, Psy or Fighter or Free Spirit character is definitely going to help you a lot in this fight. So that's what I would suggest. A Psy unit or, someone that is a Psy Free Spirit or Psy Fighter, that's probably going to be the best unit to use in this case here. But I think this team actually shouldn't have too many issues versus the Uta quest, and especially because you can use a Luffy special in battle too, and then when you get to the final battle, because of all of your other specials that you're launching, your friend captain Snake Man will be ready to go again. You can just launch it over and over again. So in terms of damage, I don't think this is really going to have too many issues in this quest. However, things get a little bit more tricky when we talk about the Intrusion fight versus Chopper. Now, Chopper is an int character, and once again, we don't know the typing of the boss on Battle 2, but there's going to be cooldown to Free Spirit, Cerebral, and Powerhouse characters. Now, in Battle 2, there's going to be a full board of empty slots, you're hit with paralysis, and there's going to be a delay immunity. But the boss also has a barrier, and in order to break the barrier, you have to hit the enemy with a quick slot. Now, this is where the free-to-play Uta is very good for this, with the support of Gordon. So Gordon attaches to Uta and states that whenever you're inflicted with paralysis, it will reduce 1 turn of it and will give you a matching slot for Uta. So because Uta is a quick character, it means Uta will be guaranteeing a slot. It makes the paralysis go down to 3 instead of 4. We can use the Jinbei special here as well. Jinbei, which is a free-to-play treasure map Jinbei, allows you to get rid of the paralysis and also provides you with a color affinity boost. And of course, we are ideally using Snake Man as the friend captain again. And in this instance, we're using the treasure map legend Sanji because he just synergizes well. If you don't, you can use Jinbei as the captain instead. But if you're doing that, then you would have to replace Sanji with something else, and it would have to be some other type of Straw Hat character, so do keep that in mind. So by doing that as well, by running Sanji as a captain, at the start of the quest, he's actually going to give us an attack boost for 4 turns, because that's his innate ability that he'll activate, which is kind of cool. Then when you get to Battle 3, there's a lot of different gimmicks. There's 6 hits of attack down, 9 hits of despair, 5 hits of enemy increased defense. This Brook from the Uta batch is very good. He removes the increased defense, he removes 5 turns of attack down, and the support of Pedro does attach to Brook, which actually removes 2 hits of despair and attack down, which means that with the support and Brook, you actually get rid of all the attack down, all the enemy defense up, and the despair goes down by 3, down by 2, so you have 4 hits of despair left. So you need to find a way to get around that despair, and in order to get around the despair is going to be the Uta, because Uta, we haven't used her special, we're just using the support in order to get her that slot. So Uta special twice with double special gets rid of that despair for us, which is great. And of course, we are ideally using friend captain Snake Man here, but this is where things get a bit tricky because there is an interrupt dealing with attack boost, all boost, color affinity, and we don't know how that works. We don't know if it is based on every time you activate a special that does an attack boost, he's going to react to it, or is it only on the first activation? And because of the way that Luffy works, a lot of people are predicting that the interrupt in this fight is only going to launch once, which would mean that, you have to launch Luffy multiple times to get the buffs active. We're not too sure if that's 100% truthful, but we'll have to wait and see. This is a very complex fight. But then, after it's all said and done, before you launch all of your attacks, the last special that you must launch is Karina. Now, the reason for that is because Karina's special ability will allow you to get 70% damage reduction. And remember that depending on your interrupts and stuff, the Chopper can remove your beneficial effects, so that's why we want to use the Karina last. So Karina's 70% damage reduction is going to help you deal with the 50,000 damage that is dealt to your crew after you kill Chopper. So that's the way that it works. And also something I just noticed is we are not using this ship with this team. I don't know why the ship is set as that. It should probably be the Whale Shark ship. Depending on the captain, you could use Liberal Hind, you could use Megalo, you could use the Ho ship, depending on what you want to do. But that is the quote-unquote accessible team that's going to get through this fight. This one looks like a relatively tricky fight. I think all of the fights seem reasonable, but the Intrusion just goes out of its way to be super annoying, which I'm really not the biggest fan of. So with all that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me in terms of the treasure map preparation. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.